Welcome. This is India Market Open. We're taking stock of the futures and options space, which has been very, very choppy. And every single day we look at the Nifty, we realize that it's closed flat. But what has also come through is an extremely sharp moves on an intraday basis. That's exactly how things panned out yesterday as well. So when you do, in fact, consider the Nifty, let's pull that up on the screen and take a look at the rollovers data. Now, the Nifty, again, marginally in the red, rollover standing at around 36%. As you can see, the respective change in both the May and the June open interests. And while we have seen a little bit more traction coming in through June, and naturally, we will also start seeing a lot more positions being built, especially keeping in mind the first week of June. Well, as far as the Bank Nifty is concerned, and that's where we have seen a little bit of an outperformance with respect to the Nifty, up around 0.6%. Rollers here standing at around 33%, and we will keep an eye on the monthly contracts that comes through in the day after. Again, we are seeing some amount of traction in June and a lot of positions being built there. But when it comes to the options market, as far as the Nifty is concerned, yesterday was a day where we saw a lot of writing around calls, even as the Nifty came off quite substantially in the last bit of the session, the last 1 hour of session. Well, as far as your overall open interest is concerned, on the higher end, keeping an eye on 23,500. That's where we have substantial amount of calls written. On the lower end, 22,500 puts. And in the middle, in the center of this range, well, if I can call it that, is a 23,000 call as well as puts being written there. When it comes to the 6th of June expiry as well, the picture is not very different. In fact, identical when it comes to a considerable amount of calls and puts being written around the 23,000 mark. On the higher end, 23,500 calls see a good amount of OI distribution, and it is the same for the 22,500 put on the lower end. Now, today is a Fin Nifty expiry. Again, it is going to be another choppy session. There's going to be no doubt about it. 22,000 where calls and puts are where we have seen a substantial amount of OIs open interest coming through. And in terms of stocks coming down to that, there was a lot of weakness towards the end of the session yesterday, and which is why we saw Balrampur Chini, Zee Entertainment, Aurobindo Pharma, and SBI Life, all of them looking at shorts building in. In terms of stocks, we saw unwinding as well, short covering for PNB, GNFC, and Bandhan Bank, Biocon, and Hindustan Copper see longs unwind. But on that note, let's get in an expert for today. Well, we have Amardev Singh of Angel One who's joining us on the show. Amar, good morning. Thank you so much for joining in. Amar, let's start with your view on Exide. Now, this is where we've seen a lot of traction on the positive end. Are you also constructive, or do you see a bout of perhaps a reversion in terms of mean?
Yeah, so looking at Exide, what we are witnessing in Exide is that this is one stock which has really taken off. And if you look on the quarterly basis, the stock is up by almost 63%. And even on a monthly basis, the stock is doing quite well and it's trading at record highs. Looking at the data in terms of the derivative data, in terms of the volumes, the stock continues to remain strong and firm. So this is one stock one can look at from a short-term perspective. And for that, one can look at the June 540 call option for the next month series, and with a stop loss of 12 and a target of 48 in the short term. So this is one stock one can definitely look at.
So this is the June expiry, which means that it leaves you with a good amount of traction. Firstly, that the time decay will not be as much, especially earlier on in the series. And of course, it also gives you an advantage. Should we see a further increase in volatility, that will also mean that option premiums could rise. And based on that, we could in fact see the rise in the premium of the call only by virtue of the rise in volatility. That said, of course, we are also waiting on a sharp move very immediately, which would actually give you a sharp fillip as far as this particular call is concerned. But Amar, moving on, the other one which is on your radar is Glenmark as well. This is where we've seen a good strength coming through. What's your view here?
Yeah, if you look at Glenmark Pharma, if you look at the entire pharma space, the pharma space has been, I would say, buzzing of late, and most of the pharma stocks, be it Divi's Laboratories, be it Aurobindo Pharma, be it Glenmark Pharma, be it Biocon also, which was lagging now, that's also started moving up. So the pharma space overall, we are seeing a lot of interest, and Glenmark Pharma is one that stands out because the stock is very strong on the long-term charts, intermediate-term trend, short-term also. We are seeing some very significant move, and we've seen some decent volumes also happening in this particular stock. The derivative data also points towards a further upside move. So this is the next stock one can look at. Here one can look at buying the June futures at the current levels or any dip towards 1100 levels, and with a stop loss of 1043 and a target of 1235 in the short term.
Okay, and that's as far as Glenmark is concerned. Amar, on that note, taking a moment to thank you for joining us and giving us those two calls that we can keep an eye on. Well, with that, it's back to you.